First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming today and celebrating the birth of my two beautiful superheroes. Both boys have been named after my father. Dad's Hebrew name was Shalom, meaning peace. In the same vein, Shalev means tranquil and calm. Wonderful qualities that I wish my boys, and have no doubt that Dad would wish them too. After trying to fall pregnant for so long, very early on, I decided that any baby I have would be a true gift, a Matan. And so the name Matan was pretty much a no-brainer. But I had been given two gifts, and so when looking for a name with a similar meaning, I fell upon Dori, which means gift in Greek. Dori also means my generation, and these two boys will help continue future generations of Davises, something that I have now contributed to and definitely don't take for granted. On a lighter note, you may know the name Dori as the fish that helped Marlin find his son Nemo in the film. Does anyone remember where they went to find Nemo?
Sydney.
My dad's name, of course, being Sydney. This put the final seal on the name Dori. The boys were born on Purim weekend, and even though I certainly don't plan on eating them, they are the best mishloach manot that I could have. Recently, I was reminded that one of Dad's favourite things to say was only at simchas. Today is a simcha that has been a long time in coming, but was well worth the wait. I could never have got through the past 9 months, however, without the support and positive energies of the friends and family in this room today and those abroad. My stay in hospital feels like a million years ago now, but there is no doubt that it was made easier by those who came by and took me for a spin in the wheelchair. Those who brought me weekly food. Did my laundry. Dyed my roots.
Allowed you to buy her coffee.
Helped Mum get back and forth. Sent encouraging texts. Literally looking at everyone here. In short, were there for me. The last few months have brought me close again to old school and childhood friends. Can't see what something I'm delighted about and has made me realise nothing should ever be taken for granted. I know my life has been and is far from conventional, and I have nothing but unconditional love and gratitude for my family, who have been unbelievable support and continue to be. It's a real shame that Tanya, Ruth, Tamar and Matan and Dori's cousins couldn't come out, but we are of course over the moon that David and Ian did and are here to be the Sundakim. Ian's journey was somewhat of a mission, taking 16 hours from London and coming via Milan due to a fault in the plane. But thank God he got here safely at 4 o'clock this morning. Finally, I would like to thank one person who has been the most unbelievable rock, who has shown she has unstoppable energies. And I couldn't have done this without her. And that's my mum.
Hey,
Mom,
yeah.
you have unconditionally supported me on this entire journey. Been there at the drop of a hat and been the most outstanding partner over the last 3 months in welcoming the boys to the world. I don't think many people could do what you do, so superheroes must run the family. Yes. There really aren't enough words to say thank you. But here's something small just anyway. Thank you all of you so much for coming and being part of this. Thank you.
I'll carry straight on. Right, I have written something down. I had 16 hours to do it. My favourite part of the flight was when after they had to land, because there was a faulty hydraulic pump. And my favourite part was after it was fixed, the Haredi woman said to the Italian, must be very Israeli, said, is the plane fixed? He goes, I think so. That was very good. And also, I've also realised, you know, I'm a fairly sort of middle of the road, sort of, I can take most things, but I have a newfound dislike for the clapping when you land. I had to deal with it twice, which was, and a bit of cheering as well. Regarding Dad, I think we all wondered how Dad would respond to our lovely little boys that we've got here now. I think undoubtedly he might have been a bit shocked to begin with. I think his first concern would have been money, I think. But I think undoubtedly he would have probably been saying they never cry, they're wonderful. Do you think so? Because his skills and his sort of blocking out the negative side of things was very good in that respect. I think he would have really enjoyed seeing them all. And of course he's very missed at the moment. A Devar Torah, I thought was appropriate. And in looking for inspiration for a Devar Torah, I thought I'd try and look in the Chumash regarding twins. And as many of you will hopefully realise, the first twins that are born maybe aren't such a good sort of role model to look at. So Yaakov and Esau, with the sort of the classic good versus evil. Again, a superhero theme there. And therefore, I think because of it being Yaakov and Esau, it's good and evil, I think that's probably the reason why it's become a much more sort of a famous story. Rather, as compared to the second twins that were born in the Chumash. And who are the Shira from here? Who were the second twins that were born in the Chumash? Anybody know? Okay, so the second twins born, but it's actually in the midst of the story of Yosef. Yehuda is shunned by his brothers, and he's basically turfed out because he had one of the major roles in Yosef being sold. And he then runs away, and he goes to a separate town, and he has 3 sons, and there's a lady called Tamar, who marries his first 2 sons, and they die, and in the end, she lures Yehuda to have a relationship with her, and he ends up having twins with her. And thankfully, it's in a much more positive light, the way that these boys become, what they become. But the story is a lot more sordid, and I'll let you read all about the story in your own time. But as I said, it's documented right in the middle of the story of Yosef. And as I said, Yosef's been shut. And then Yehuda and Tamar have twins. And what's interesting is that the birth is detailed, very great detail of exactly what happens. And it states that the first baby stuck his hand out, and the midwife put a crimson thread around his arm. This is actually documented. This isn't a midrash or Rashi or anything. This is actually documented straight in the Chumash. This is the Peshat. And a crimson thread was put around his hand to signify that he was the oldest. But then suddenly, as he had this thread put around his hand, the second son, or one that was supposed to be the second son, actually pushed him out the way, and he became the actual son that came out first. And this son was named Peretz, because it's in Hebrew it means a way of asserting himself with strength. And the second son, who actually did have the crimson thread around him, he was named Zarach, and we were told by Rashi that means brightness. This means a big glow. And I looked in a commentary of Nachmanides, probably the second most famous commentator on the Chumash after Rashi, and he discusses the birth. And I'd like to bring a message to my nephews based on this story, so I hope they are listening. Nachmanides comments that Peretz represents more than just physically pushing forward, as he did in his birth. Rather, it represents a concept of crossing any boundary that limits oneself. Peretz should have been the second born, but his character was defined as someone who would not accept his preordained situation, and he would appear to have changed what really should have been. And in fact, tradition tells us that he was the ancestor of King David, and eventually, of course, the Mashiach. And I'm sure that's a major factor, his personality is a major factor as to why he should have such an important role in who eventually his descendants would be. And I can think of a better example than my own sister. Natalie, none of us can really know what you've been through. And I feel that you have broken through boundaries, never accepting a limitation that has been dealt your way. To continue, Ramban continues in his commentary with a much deeper Kabbalistic insight into the meaning of the names Peretz and Zarach. I'm now 40, I can delve into Kabbalah. Very, very interestingly, you should know that it's quite condescending. In the Ramban translation of the Art Scroll translation, it's blue books, and anything that's Kabbalistic, they actually write, this is beyond the scope of this book, and we don't translate it. And I thought, well, I'm not going to accept that, and I decided to look and find out the translation and delve into the Kabbalistic. I understood a bit of it myself, and I found an English translation. So if you're all ready, anyone who's younger than 40, could you leave the room? I don't understand. Okay, Zerach, and this is what Ramban says. He says that Zerach represents a powerful light that is personified by the sun. So Zerach was the second son. And Peretz represents the moon, which is the reflection of this light. Interestingly, that's also the relationship between Moshe and Yeshua, who eventually took Jewish people into Eretz Israel. And this explanation, of course, would be counter to what you'd necessarily think how it should be. Surely, the source of the light, the sun, should be the person that's born first. But I think the Torah is telling us that we can achieve well beyond our obvious station in life. And equally, one must never be complacent when one is born into a privileged position in life. What matters is the effort, the persistent realization of a worthy goal, the strength, the fortitude to break through boundaries that may restrict us. And so to end, if I may give these lovely boys a blessing, it is to strive, to never accept mediocrity, and to see any limitation as a line to break through. And they will only need to look at their mother for a constant light that they will be able to reflect. Thank you very much. Caroline?